Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. For this video I want to do another unboxing, hot on the heels of my last one, but instead of it being music, this time I want to do a TV show, and this is Red Dwarf, the Series 1 to 8 Blu-ray box set. So these are all the BBC shows that were released, because they've done more recent series on Dave, but these are the original BBC shows. I bought this from Amazon, it was about 37 quid, so it's just under £2 per disc, because there's 19 discs in here. It's gone up a bit since then. At the time of filming this I think it's about 45 quid, but even then, that's still reasonable value. So yeah, I bought that with my own money, so I'm not sponsored by anybody connected with the show. I'm not affiliated with anybody connected with the production. These are all my own views. I just wanted to show you what's inside it. I've also written a detailed review in my blog as well, a very extensive blog post about everything that's in here, because as you're about to see, there's tons of stuff in here. So I hope you enjoy it, and I will crack on with it. And this is basically the design of the set. You've got the Red Dwarf logo on the front. You've got large white lettering saying Red Dwarf, although the two Ds are red and are linked by like a planetary ring kind of going diagonally around the lettering. And then you've got planets floating around it, all against this kind of purplish blue kind of space background. So yeah, very nice, simple design. It's quite a nice design. I mean, I do prefer the original design of the DVDs that were originally released, and I'm going to keep the sleeves for the artwork from them and the booklets that came with them as well, because they had some nice information in. They're much more colourful. You had a different colour for each series, and you had like different cast members featured on there as well each time. And when you lined up the spines of the original DVD releases, it actually said Red Dwarf going across the spines, which was quite satisfying. Obviously, with a huge box set like this, you can't do that, so they've obviously done a fresh design. It looks okay. And then on the back, you've obviously got a very brief description of the show, and it's obviously a very brief description. A radiation leak wipes out the crew of the mining ship Red Dwarf, leaving one survivor, chicken soup machine repairman Dave Lister. After 3 million years in suspended animation, Lister emerges to find he is the last human being in the universe, but he is not alone. For the first time ever, Red Dwarf 1 to 8 on glorious Blu-ray, along with all the extras from the first 8 series. And then you've got pictures of the crew there. So you've obviously got Lister and Rimmer and Crichton and the cat, and Kochanski, who appears near the end. Holly isn't shown there, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame, because he or she, depending which series you're watching, is obviously another key character, another great character, but all the other key members of the crew are there. And then down here you've obviously got the technical details. So aspect ratio is 1080i 4:3. Main soundtrack is English, DTS HD, MA stereo. Feature length is 1,466 minutes, which is about 24 hours, and that's not counting the extras, this is just the episodes. Disc format, you've got 11 Blu-rays and 8 DVDs, which will make sense in a minute. English subtitles for the hard of hearing. No audio description, which isn't a surprise. It's a shame, because you can hear it audio described on the TV Red Dwarf, so they've got the tracks and they are capable of putting them on there, because they do for all the Doctor Who releases, so it's a shame they couldn't. But in fairness, I have seen on Twitter that Doug Naylor responded to a query from another visually impaired person about this, and he did say to them, he did try to see if he could get AD on there. So thank you to Doug Naylor for trying. I mean, audio description isn't a major deal for me personally, because I can sit close enough to my TV to kind of see what's going on, but I know for other people it would be very, very useful, so that's why I'm mentioning it really. That's why I like to look for these things every time. And then in terms of additional info, it says the episodes have been upscaled from standard definition, and extra content and remastered content on discs is standard definition. So yeah, I mean, they didn't film the show in HD to begin with, so there's only so much you can do, but they have upscaled them and cleaned them up as best they can, and they look and sound very good as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not the person to judge picture quality necessarily because of my eyesight, and I'm not a big audiophile where kind of sound quality is concerned, but I was very happy with it. I think they've come out really nice. However, some people have said or noticed that there is what's called a de-interlacing issue with series 3 and 5. Apparently it makes the picture look a bit grainier. I haven't noticed, and some other people have said it's not really a big deal. But some people have complained about it, and the BBC have said that yes, there is an issue and they're reauthoring the discs now. I don't know if we're going to get replacements or be offered replacements or what, but I haven't personally noticed the issue. I haven't watched an episode and thought, well, that looks horrible. So it's kind of down to your own personal judgment and preference on that, really. The episodes looked fine to me, but maybe that's just my eyes. Maybe that's just an advantage of being visually impaired. Who knows? Also, it's worth mentioning in terms of remastering, you have to be a little bit careful, because obviously there were episodes called Red Dwarf Remastered for series 1 to 3. They did in the mid-90s. where they added new CGI effects and stuff to try and sell the show overseas. You don't get those on here. Just like the DVD releases, you get the proper original episodes without all that remastering rubbish on them, which is great. It's nice to see the proper original versions as they were made originally, even if they don't look superb effects wise. There's a charm to old shows. It's like watching like the old Doctor Who's, where the special effects are a bit cheap or whatever. It's still a good show. So yeah, I'm glad they haven't done that. Although the remastered episodes do become relevant on the Body Snatcher disc, which is the bonus disc in this. In here you've got basically 2 mini boxes, if you like, whatever you want to call them. One containing the first 4 series, the other containing the other 4 series. So you've basically got all the discs on plastic trays. You just turn them like a book. So you can see you've got the logo on there. And like I say, there's no easy way of distinguishing the discs from a distance. You have to kind of read them really to find out which disc is which is kind of why I was saying it was a shame, because if they'd done like different colours or something for each series, it would have standed out better. So yeah, you've got basically a Blu-ray disc for each series, which has the episodes on it. Those are the kind of upscaled, cleaned up editions. The menus on these Blu-rays are very, very good. I actually quite like these. They're different to the original DVDs. These are fresh menus for the Blu-rays. You've basically got an image of a doorway on the ship, and it slides open to reveal clips from the show. And then the left-hand side of the screen, you've got options like play all, episode selection, audio commentaries, and subtitles. Then if you select, say, episode selection or commentaries, you get another menu on the right side of the door frame with the relevant episodes to choose from. What I like about those menus is that the text stands out really nicely, because you've got white text on the dark background of the door frame, and it's in capitals as well, so it's really easy to read them. In terms of the DVDs, for the extras, they are copies of the original DVDs from the series. That's why you've got 8 DVDs in this deck, because you've got one bonus DVD for every series. Blu-rays, you've got one for every series from 1 to 6, and then there's 2 Blu-rays for series 7 and 8, because there are extended episodes in there. But yeah, basically for the DVD bonus discs, these are direct copies of the original bonus discs from the original DVD releases. So you've got all the animated menus that were on there. Some of those in the earlier years were kind of hard to read, because you had like text overlaid kind of over the rooms that you were kind of in to pick options from. And then they kind of improved in later series. They had plain text menus as options, and they also overlaid things in like text boxes with much better contrast. But they are lovely animated menus, and I'm delighted we've still got those. There are loads of extras again. A lot of them are listed in the booklet. And then, as well as all those discs for the series, you've also got a bonus Body Snatcher disc as well, which I'll explain in a minute, because that's kind of something to mention at the very end as a bonus. But it's a very nice addition to have. And then the other thing you've got in here is the booklet, of course, which is useful to go through because it tells you everything that's in here. So on the Blu-rays, you've got audio commentaries on every single episode by the cast. Which is great. The cast commentaries are really fun because they get on well. There's a lot of banter and laughs in there, and you get little insights into the series as well as you go along. And there's also a bonus commentary on the very first episode of Series 1, The End, which has Doug Naylor and Rob Grant, the creators of the show, with director Ed Bye. These guys really like talking about the show, and they're really insightful and interesting, so that's a fun one to listen to. And then later on in Series 5 and 6, there's also fan commentaries for a couple of episodes as well, which are nice. I mean, they're not essential and they're nothing substantial, but they're worth listening to once, even if you never hear them again. And fair play to the fans who won the competitions to be in them. And then on the extras, just looking at season 1 here, for instance, this is a classic example of the kind of thing you get. So you get deleted scenes and smeg ups for every series. Smeg ups are the outtakes, basically, where the cast get things wrong. There's a lot of amusement to be had there. You get trailers and promotional things as well. It's always worth opening the trailers menu, even if you're not that bothered about watching like 30-second trails from the TV. There are other little things in those trailer menus as well, like special cast introductions that they filmed, or a Children in Need sketch, I think there is in one of those, and other little bits and pieces. So it's worth opening the trailer menu just to see what's in there. Documentary wise, there is, for series 3 to 8, dedicated documentaries for every series. It's like feature length. They're really long documentaries. You get, the first section is all about like the general making of the show as a whole, like how that particular series came about, any general issues there were with it, and the general aim they were going for with it. And then you've got a chapter for every single episode going into great detail about it. They did these for series 3 to 8. They didn't do it for series 1 and 2 originally. So the documentaries you get on series 1 and 2, you get Launching Red Dwarf, which is an interesting documentary about the original kind of formation of the show, I suppose, how it came about. And it is actually very good to watch that. And then on series 2 you get Red Dwarf A to Z, which is kind of a compilation show. There's a little bit of behind the scenes stuff in there, but there's a lot of just clips from the show as well. So it's not quite so informative and substantial, but it's still fun to have. This is made up for again by the Body Snatcher disc, so I'll come back to that. But the actual documentaries from series 3 to 8 are really, really good. It's really detailed and comprehensive and very honest as well. There's a lot of discussion about things that didn't work out, things like that. So they're really worth watching as documentaries. There's nothing else. They're the key things to watch. But like I say, you get other things as well. So, there's little musical featurettes as well. So on series 1 it's called Drunk. On series 2 it's called Alternate Personalities. These are basically featurettes combining clips from the show from all 8 series on a particular theme set to a particular pop song that's relevant to that theme. So it's kind of a nice little extra. Again, not essential, but it's nice to see clips from the show on a particular theme. Special effects footage, yeah, there are model shots and special effects footage, again, with every series. There's no audio with them, you just get to see the original effects shots, basically. You get photo galleries as well. There's production shots and promotional material, merchandise and sketches and storyboards you get in there sometimes, and pictures of models and special effects and pictures taken by the cast and crew as well, like personal photos. So there's a lot of photos to look at. One thing that isn't on here, and deserves to be because it is on every DVD, is the isolated music cues by Howard Goodall. He is a well-renowned composer. He's composed theme tunes for Blackadder and 2.4 Children and Mr. Bean and lots of other things, and he's done lots of classical music as well. And yeah, he's composed all the music for Red Dwarf, including the theme tune and songs like Tongue Tied and the Rimmer Munchkin song and stuff like that. So all of his music, or a lot of the key themes are on here. You can hear them in isolation, and there's a lot of them. And there are other audio things as well that, again, I'll mention here. So you've got chapters from the talking books that are narrated by Chris Barry, for instance. There are Red Dwarf audiobooks that I haven't actually listened to. I must actually buy them off Audible and listen to them. But Chris Barry is brilliant at doing the voices of all the different characters, so he narrates those books. And then there are also sketches from a radio show called Son of Cliche, which is the original radio show that Rob Grant and Doug Naylor wrote and developed. And again, it was starring Chris Barry before Red Dwarf, so it's the show that kind of inspired and they built on to create Red Dwarf, so it's an important piece of history. And then you get little individual extras in every series as well, so you get a Japanese version of the end on series 1, Tongue Tied Uncut on series 2. I like this Tongue Tied song. I think it's quite good. I know it's not to everyone's taste, but I actually quite like it. It's silly and it's fun, basically, so it's nice to see the full uncut kind of song and dance performance from it. There's also an interview with Doug Naylor on the Series 2 DVD, which is nice. He pops up quite a lot. Hattie's DJ Diary is on Series 3, the extras disc. Hattie is the female version of Holly. She took over from Series 3 from Norman Lovett. I preferred Norman Lovett, to be honest, but Hattie is still good. I still enjoy her work on the show. And her diary is from a fan club meeting. There's a Robert Llewellyn diary later on in one of the other series where he kind of gives us some behind-the-scenes footage. Tribute to Noel Bibby. He was the production designer on the show who sadly passed away, so as a tribute to him. Backwards Forwards is the episode Backwards played in reverse, because it's basically where the characters are sent to a parallel dimension version of Earth where time is running backwards, so people are speaking backwards and doing things backwards. So this allows you to see all those backwards moments the right way around, see what people are saying. It is divided into chapters, so you can kind of skip to key moments where backwards things were happening. That's worth looking at just for the Arthur Smith rant that's in there. You've got Ace Rimmer, A Life in Lames, so it's basically clips of Ace Rimmer. This is Arnold Rimmer's much braver and more dashing alter ego. And Can't Smeg, Won't Smeg special, so that's basically a version of Can't Cook, Won't Cook, where Ainsley Harriott tries to show the crew members how to cook, basically. Dwarfing USA, yeah, that's interesting. They tried to make a pilot for the USA to make a version of the show over there, but it just didn't work. I mean, if you look up the Red Dwarf US pilot on YouTube, it's awful. The special effects of Red Dwarf 5, there's a little documentary there. There's an episode intro there, as well as the trailers. So this is what I mean by looking at the trailers for extra bits. So you've got channel idents, where the BBC Two logo is kind of getting a bit romantic with the Scutters, and an episode intro there as well. Dave Hollins' radio sketch from the Son of Cliche show I mentioned. Howard Goodall setting the score, so you actually get an interview, quite an extensive interview as well, with the composer of the show, so it's really interesting to hear how he put things together. Return to Laredo featurette. It's basically Robert Llewellyn going back to the setting for gunmen of the apocalypse, the western town they went to. So he gets to kind of look around the town and speak to the residents. That's very interesting. Series 7, you have got a remastered episode on there. This isn't the same deal as when they remastered Series 1 to 3. This is the fact that Doug Naylor and Chris Veal were very unhappy with the CGI work on Series 7, because this is when they were kind of experimenting with CGI to begin with. Chris Veal was the guy who did the visual effects in that sense, while Doug Naylor obviously is the creator of the show, and Rob Grant had left by this time. So they wanted to kind of show how they really wanted Series 7 to look, because due to budgetary and time constraints, they couldn't do all they wanted. So they made a remastered version of Tika to Ride, the very first episode. So you can watch the standard version or the remastered episode, or an extended version or an extended remastered episode. And there's also a couple of other episodes there that you can watch extended or standard versions of. An interesting extra here though on the Blu-ray disc is Identity Within. This is a lost episode from Series 7. It was about the cat who was going to have to try and get his end away in order to save his life, basically. He was going to have to lose his virginity. It was kind of storyboarded but never recorded because it was deemed too expensive to film. So what you get here are like the storyboards for that episode, narrated by Chris Barry, who does all the character voices like he does for the audiobooks. So it's really good to watch that. Then on the other disc of Series 7, the other Blu-ray, you've got fan films, which are kind of a couple of fan films that were made by competition winners. Nothing particularly special, to be honest. You know, they're a little curiosity to watch once and that's it. And then on the Series 7 DVD, there's a Robert Llewellyn video diary there, as I mentioned earlier. How did they do that? That was a good show back in the day. How did they do that? Looking at how they do different things, special effects on TV shows like Red Dwarf in this instance, and all sorts of other things. I think I had Eamon Holmes presenting it, and it was really good. I really enjoyed that show. And then Series 8, disc 1 of the Blu-ray is just one story, really. It's Back in the Red, because it was a 3-part story. So you can watch Back in the Red in its individual parts, or you can watch it as one extended cut. And then there's also a Comedy Connections episode on there. Comedy Connections was a documentary series where each episode focused on a different sitcom, and they told you about, you know, the journey that everyone involved took to get to that particular sitcom, how they're all drawn together from all their different kind of backgrounds. And then the second Blu-ray disc has all the other episodes from the series, and again you can watch Pete, which has 2 parts, as either those individual parts or as a feature-length version. And then on the DVD you've got all the usual extras again. There's a Children in Need sketch, which is tucked away under the trailers section. There's some PBS sketches as well, and idents for America, and various other usual bits and pieces. And then we come to the Body Snatcher disc. Now the Body Snatcher disc is almost a copy of what was in the original Body Snatcher collection that was released, basically containing all this extra bonus material that had never been on the other DVDs. It centres around an episode called Body Snatcher, or another lost episode, so rather like Identity Within. Body Snatcher was meant to be in Series 1. It was written but never filmed, so they've made storyboards for it, and again Chris Barry's narrated it, and you get to see that on here. In fact, you get to watch it in 2 versions. You get to watch the normal edit of it as if it was an episode, and you get to hear the full uncut script as well. And you also get a commentary from Rob Grant and Doug Naylor about it. So that's really good to have. You also get, however, proper documentaries for Series 1 and 2 at last. Just like all the other series, you get to see the original version of the very first episode, The End. They called it the original assembly. So you get to see its very first recording, which didn't go too well, so they kind of scrapped a lot of it and reshot it. You've got a documentary about the remastered episodes. Now this is where things get a bit confusing. It's nice to have the documentary about the remastered episodes. It's really interesting, and you get to see clips from it. There are also promotional clips of the remastered episodes, kind of just showing you a little bit of what they've done and why they've done it. You also get, however, the audio commentaries. Now, on the original Body Snatcher collection, you got all 18 remastered episodes with all the new CGI effects and things from Series 1 to 3. I'm not too bothered about the fact we haven't got them, because I prefer the originals anyway. I don't think I've ever actually seen the remastered episodes, but looking at the clips on here, I'm not too worried about that. What's weird though is, even though you don't get any of those episodes on here, you do get the audio commentaries for them with just a static image as the screen. So you're listening to a commentary without any visual reference as to what they're talking about, which kind of feels a bit pointless to me. You know, I tried listening to them and just kind of gave up a bit, because it's like, well, I can't see what you're talking about, so it doesn't mean anything to me. You know, I haven't got copies of those remastered episodes, so it feels quite weird to have the audio commentaries on there. Maybe that's just me, I don't know, but it just feels a little bit odd that they've got the audio commentaries without the episode. You've got some extra effects footage as well, and some deleted scenes that didn't make it onto the original DVDs. Most Embarrassing Interview is an interview that Rob Grant and Doug Naylor did with Alan Titchmarsh on his chat show. And they again do an audio commentary on that, explaining what it was about. And there's some script extracts as well. These are more ideas that didn't make it into the show, and much like the lost episodes of Body Snatcher and Identity Within, Chris Barry narrates them using all the character voices, so they're quite interesting to see. And again, there's commentary on that from Doug Naylor. Peter Tyler, 8mm reel, he's a model maker, so he's given some behind the scenes insights. And then you've got Easter eggs. Now, Easter eggs are hidden features basically that aren't openly advertised as being on these discs. Now, on the Blu-ray discs are obviously new menus, so they haven't got the original Easter eggs that were on the original episode discs of the original DVD releases. So the original DVDs had Easter eggs, but they're not on these new Blu-ray discs. So what they've done is they've put them all on the Body Snatcher disc as one big menu, so you haven't even got to find them. You can just see all the titles of the Easter eggs. There are also, though, Easter eggs on all the bonus DVDs with each series. Now, obviously, because they are direct copies of the original DVD releases, they have all the same Easter eggs as well. There is a page on the Red Dwarf website that lists where all these eggs are and what they are, if you want to cheat. All of these Easter eggs are very interesting. There's things like animated discussions with Doug Naylor and Rob Grant and Ed Bye again. There are animated caricatures of them on the screen talking as you hear them giving their opinions on certain episodes. So they're quite interesting to listen to. There's a discussion that Rob Grant and Doug Naylor have about their work on Spitting Image, which is quite insightful. The cast in the commentary booth, there's a couple of bonus things with them, and various other bits and pieces. So there are tons of extras on there, absolutely tons. And overall, I am very pleased with this set. It's nice to have all the episodes slightly upgraded. I do think they look and sound better. It's nice to have the Body Snatchers extras because I never had the Body Snatcher collection. It went out of print. I never got it. So this is the first time I've seen these extras. The documentaries for Series 1 and 2 are brilliant. The Body Snatcher episode is great. All the other extras are interesting as well. It's just the inclusion of audio commentaries without visuals that just feels weird to me. But that's a minor quibble. Everything else is great. Whether you should upgrade for the DVDs you've got is entirely up to you. If you're happy with the way the episodes look and sound on the DVDs, and you've either got the Body Snatcher collection already or aren't bothered about it, you don't necessarily need to upgrade. Indeed, if you've got the Body Snatcher collection, keep it because you've got more on there than is on here still. But otherwise, if you want upgraded episodes and you want all the extras kind of nice and tidily presented, get this. So that's it. That is my unboxing and brief review of this box set. I'm very glad I got it. For me, it was worth the money. It was worth the upgrade. But there is a detailed review on my blog as well if you want to go and read that for a lot more detail about what's in here. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And I will see you for another video very soon. Bye.